Okay, hello friends. So we are here again with one more guest, and today guest is little special because she's all the way from Washington DC. She's joining us from States. So friends, her name is Jyoti. Welcome Jyoti, and thanks for giving your time. How are you
Thank
today?
you. I'm doing good, very well. Thank you. How about you?
Yeah, great Jyoti. Thanks. Okay, so friends, Jyoti recently joined our WhatsApp group, and I think she's following us on our YouTube channel from long time. And this particular session is based on her recent experience with Citigroup. So all these questions are asked in those interviews in the past, and obviously she'll try to give her best answer for all these questions, which we are going to ask from Jyoti. So Jyoti, thanks one more time for sharing all these questions with us, and looking forward for this session. So, Jyoti, why don't you tell us about yourself first, and then we'll jump to the Q&A session. Like, how's your journey and how you went to States? Little bit in a brief.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I started my career in the year 2011. I was working for Unisys, and I was working as a UI developer there. Then after working as a UI developer, I was given a promotion and I was made a testing lead. So I was a tester and I was doing all the functional and non-functional testing, like API testing, security testing, performance testing using JMeter. So I was mainly doing the non-functional testing, and as well the functional testing. I was writing the manual test cases, trying to automate it using Selenium, and also I was also doing the TD, test driven development. So this is what I was doing as a test lead. Then I was given an opportunity to become like the situation occurred where the Scrum Master went for a vacation for a month, and my product owner asked if anyone could want to volunteer to become a Scrum Master for that particular month. Then I took that opportunity and I became a Scrum Master for that month. And I was only handling my team. I was also a Scrum Master and giving my time towards the development as well. Like I was contributing towards the development task as well. And then after what I did, I was very much passionate about what I did, and that's where I was given a full-time Scrum Master opportunity in Unisys. So yeah, that's where I became a full-time Scrum Master, and I moved to United States in the year 2015 after marrying my husband. And it's been like 7 years here. And I started working for a company known as Viasat as a Scrum Master. Then I moved to Vacation Club. Now I'm working for K First. So this is my journey. Yeah.
Great. Thanks a lot, Jyoti, for sharing that. Okay. Okay. So, if you permit, shall we start now?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So, very first question is a normal one with respect to your role and responsibility as a Scrum Master. What kind of project you are doing as a Scrum Master so far?
Yes. Yeah. In the current project, I'm a Scrum Master for the insurance company. So K First is an insurance company, and I'm working as a Scrum Master here. So as my role as a Scrum Master is like I facilitate all the Scrum ceremonies, and we are following the Safe Agile. We are not following Safe Agile 5.0 still. We are in Safe Agile 2.0 or so. So yeah, we just started with the Safe Agile a year back. So yeah, we have to pretty much learn a little more in Safe Agile. But yes, like I as a Scrum Master, I also help my product owner in coming up with the product backlog, user story, defining the user stories and the acceptance criteria, and also like helping the RTE to come up with a PI planning. And yes, yeah, we also sync up once in a week, all the Scrum Masters in the Scrum of Scrum event. So where we discuss upon the dependencies on each team, and we also try to be transparent enough on what our team is doing. And yes, all the Scrum ceremonies, like the planning meeting, the daily stand-up, review meeting, and the retro. I facilitate all of those. And yeah, we are also as a in the organization level, we also have something known as inspect and adapt. After having the system demo, after 2 months, like after 4 increments, we'll have a system demo. So here, even in the system demo, the RT will facilitate it, but we as a Scrum Master, we plan the system demo ahead of it. We'll have something known as a pre-system demo where we plan together with our RT, and then we'll have an inspect and adapt on the organization level as well. So here we'll inspect what went well and what did not went well, and we try to adapt the changes in the next art. So this is what we do or in the organization level. But as a Scrum in the team level, yes, all the Scrum ceremonies, I'll try to resolve the impediments if the team has any. I'll try to resolve the conflicts. I'll try to resolve the dependencies. And my main focus as Scrum Master is I being a servant leader, for me, the development team needs are more important. I define my servant leadership as being there for the development team whenever they want, however they want, if they just to clear the blockage if they have anything. And even I try to connect with my team members. I try to bond with them. I try to have a very good relationship with them so that they can communicate back to me very well. So I always, as a Scrum Master, I always think that I am one with the development team. So that's where even they also think the same way. So that also helps them to communicate. If they have anything, they can just ping me and let me know about it. So yeah, that is what we do. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Jyoti, for that. Okay. So as a Scrum Master, I'm sure you might have faced a lot of issues and challenges working with people, with different stakeholders. So would you like to share some of your challenges and how you are resolved those challenges and issues in the past, Jyoti?
Sure. Yeah. My main challenge, I would say, is when there are few team members coming from the waterfall technique, technology, when they're using the waterfall and they transfer to the Scrum or Agile, that is where the transition time, that is little much challenging for me as a Scrum Master, so I have to make sure they understand what Agile is, what Scrum is, and as a Scrum Master, I have to give their time, I have to let them take their own time to, you cannot expect them to change from waterfall to Agile overnight. That is not possible. So letting them to know, giving them their own time, for 1 or 2 sprints, I'll take it easy, even if they do not understand what's going on, even if they do not understand why they want to attend the planning meeting or why they want to be there for the daily stand-up meeting, I take it easy. I do not really force them to attend, make them attend. I go back, I'll have a one-on-one with them. I'll let them know what is the importance of those meetings, how the Scrum is actually followed, how the Scrum is actually helping the entire organization. So that is what I do as a Scrum Master. So transferring them from the waterfall to Agile is always challenging for a Scrum Master, because the mindset of the entire team should be same. So for them from waterfall to Agile, obviously it will take time. So that time I have to give as a Scrum Master. I should make them feel comfortable, even within the organization, there is always a challenge when the team members come from waterfall projects to the Agile projects. Even I have seen team members coming from different organizations where they followed waterfall previously, and now they have to follow the Agile. The entire organization itself is new to them. So have to make sure they know the organization very well, they know the project very well, they are working for the project as they are following the Agile methodology and working for the project. So this is a big change for the team members. So that's where I as a Scrum Master, I try to coach them what is Scrum, the Scrum values, and the Agile principles. I try to let them know what all those are. It's not just a textbook thing, right? So they have to change their mindset as well. So that obviously to change the mindset and start adopting the Scrum, it will take time. So for 1 or 2 sprints, I'll let it go easy. I'll make sure they understand what Agile is, what Scrum is, And yeah, expecting a lot from them from the sprint one is not really good. So that is one of the challenge I always face that is one of the common challenge I face. And yeah, there are a lot of challenges. If you also want me to list, like even,
yeah, you can share one or two more. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. Even like I faced this challenge when my product owner, when the architect, he was given a chance to become a product owner, because my product owner left in between the project, and there was no product owner. So the architect was made as a product owner. So when this happens, when the architect is made as a product owner, this is always challenging for a Scrum Master. Like product owner roles and responsibilities will not be very well defined for the technical person, for an architect. So I should make sure what the product owner role is for the agile team, like how the product owner should interact with the team, with the stakeholders. So what he was doing when he was given a product owner position, so what he was doing is he was directly going to a team members. He know the team very well, because he was an architect for the same team. So he know who can do what, he know the skill set of the team. So what he was doing is he was directly going to the team member and he was assigning the task. So because he knows that this team member can really fix it within one day, so he was doing that without even bringing it to the sprint board, Jira board. So he was just like orally he was going and assigning it to the team members. So that should not happen. Like everything should be transparent enough, and the team should be given an opportunity to pick the task. I as a Scrum Master or he as a product owner, we cannot go and assign the task to the team members. So this team is cross-functional. We believe, we trust the team. They are cross-functional. They are self-organized. They are self-managed team. So there is always an independence given to the team. We always trust the team. So they own the task. So they pick their very own task. Like they know their skill sets very well, and they pick the task and they try to do it. So where this ownership cannot be assigned, the ownership should be taken voluntarily. So we have to give the opportunity to let the team take whatever task they want, whatever stories they want, like whatever, we cannot just go and assign. That's what my point is. So to make the product owner understand it, it was little time consuming for me. And even like he being a technical guy, he was like, he was telling me that he knows what he's doing. So that is where I made sure he understands the Scrum values very well. The Scrum value is like commitment. The team is committing to it. So we are giving respect to the team. We are trusting them. By giving the respect to the team, we are trusting the team. So that is where this happened. Yeah, that was a little bit challenging for me as a Scrum Master. Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm just taking a few notes as well, Jyoti. Okay, yeah. That's great. Okay,
even
thank you.
You want to give me one more example, even in the retro meetings, like the sprint retrospective should not always be a blame game, right? Nobody should be blamed. If we are achieving something, if the sprint goal is successfully achieved, then the team is doing well. The team is we have to give the credits for the entire team. If they could not deliver what they have agreed on, yes, there was something which did not went well, and that is where the retros are very useful. Like we have to see the root cause, why it did not went well, instead of blaming someone, So this is also something very challenging for me as a Scrum Master, when the team is they are just starting with the retro. I mean, they are just trying to adapt the agile for the very first, they're not very mature enough, maybe I can say that. So this is a little challenging for me as a Scrum Master as well. I always see the retro doesn't end up with a blame game. No, you cannot blame a single person, because the Scrum is all about team, right? The entire team, even that includes product owner, Scrum Master, and the development team. We are all working together for one product vision. So that is where I always make the team clear that the retros are not a blame, You cannot blame anyone. So it should not be a blame game. So yeah, retrospective is something where will be transparent, will inspect, and will adapt it. We'll adapt what did not went well, or what went well. We'll adapt. We'll try to obviously focus on what did not went well and what did went well. Like what did went well, we'll try to carry it forward. What did not went well, we'll try to have a root cause analysis for that, and we'll try to make some changes. So that is what the retro is about. It's not about blame game. So yeah, this is also one of the challenge I face like frequently when the team is not really mature enough. They like point out saying that the developer did not do well, the tester did not do well, the testers say developers did not do the unit testing well. Like, yeah, this all happens. I have seen it. So yeah, it should never be a blame game. Like like Scrum is not like it doesn't focus on I. It's like we are all working together for one single product vision. So that is the main agenda. Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jyoti, for summing up all these 3 challenges for us. Okay, great. Shall we move on?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so this question is related to the product owner anti-pattern. So let's assume that your product owner, as we have already discussed, but then it's a little bit different. So let's assume that your product owner is little pushy in terms of assigning, as you mentioned, ordering the product backlog. He or she is maybe trying to push a little bit.
Right.
Your team is not able. Maybe you don't have that much capacity. Your team,
right.
I mean, you don't have that much capacity, right? But then your product owner priorities are different. Maybe he or she is also getting pushed from the other stakeholders, right, to fulfill certain requirements. So how you're going to balance this kind of scenarios?
Yeah, this is a good question. Yeah. The thing is, like, the product owner, everything here is transparent. Even in the sprint planning meeting, the planning meeting is for being transparency. Like, we know what the capacity we have, what the team capacity we have, and we'll take the stories accordingly. So if the product owner wants to take us few more user stories, obviously it will create stress in the team. Like, the team members feel a lot of stress, and we cannot expect the quality product out of them. So when you want quality, when you're not ready to compromise on quality, I always tell my product owner, when he's not ready to compromise on quality, we have to give the development team their sufficient time, because at the end of the sprint, they are the ones who are developing it, testing it, and doing end-to-end, like deploying it and doing all the work. So when we push them to take more work, they may not give the quality product, right? So yes, when the product owner does it, like I'll let him see the capacity, him or her see the capacity planning Excel, where we have come up with how much capacity we have. And I also show him the velocity, this is the average velocity what team can achieve when they have 100% capacity, and this is what they can achieve when they have 80 or 90% of capacity. So if we stress them, obviously the end product will not be good. If the end product is not good, the stakeholders will not be good. When they will feel sad, they'll not be good. They'll not feel happy about it. If the performance testing is not done, they'll not be happy about it. All these are very important, and all these tests will happen only after the implementation is done. So that is where, like, yeah, when the product owner is pushy, or like when we push the development team to do more work, this is what happens. The testing, they compromise on testing. They only do some sort of manual testing or automation, and all this non-functional testing is very, very important. The security testing, or maybe the performance testing, all this non-functional testing is very important. So that only happens at the end of this, like during the last days of the sprint. So the team doesn't do well in this. So definition of done will not be achieved. So that's what I always tell my product owner. Don't be pushy. Like, let them have their own time. When we give their own time, when we should give the ownership to them, entire ownership to the development team. So when the team takes the ownership, they have that accountability to finish it. Like even if the user story fails or success, they'll take that credit, and that gives them the freedom. So that freedom should be given. So like, yeah, we should never be pushy. So these are the impacts which will happen after if we push the development team very hard. These are all the consequences. There will be a lot of bugs, the different density, like a lot of things. Like even the stakeholders will not be happy seeing all the defects. So like, if you want to make the stakeholders happy, we have to make the development team happy. So it's like directly proportional, the development team being happy is like directly proportional to stakeholders being happy. So for us, the developers are more like, we have to keep them happy to make the stakeholders happy. So do not push the development team. Let them have their own time. Let them come up with a quality product. Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Sunand.
Okay. Thanks, Jyoti, for that. Okay. Now, the next one is a little tricky. Do you see any difference between a Scrum Master or a technical Scrum Master? Will it make sense if your Scrum Master is a technical guy, whether it will help your team or your product owner? What's your opinion on that, Jyoti?
Yeah, Scrum Master being a technical or a non-technical person, it depends on the organization, like how they want the Scrum Master to be. If they want, like, Scrum Master can be a non-technical guy as well, but I feel if the Scrum Master is technical person, it will be benefited for the team as well, like for the entire organization, even like while breaking up the features into user stories, right? So that is where if I am a technical Scrum Master, I can always contribute to the team. How? Like I can help the product owner to make sure the user story is having the invest criteria. So it is like independent, negotiable, valuable, estimable, small, and testable. So I can make sure that, like, I know, because I'm a technical person, I know what is, like, I know the high level, like what implementation to be done, what testing, how many hours of testing should be done. Like I can just I'll have the high level idea on how much work is being actually taking place in that user story. So that's where I can break it down into smaller chunk so that will fit the sprint. So even like coming up with a user story is very important. That is the main thing, that is one of the initial phase of the Scrum. Like coming up with a very good user story is very, very, very important for me. If the user stories are good, if they are like, yeah, if they are going, like, if they are independent, negotiable, valuable, estimable, small, and testable, then if they are able to fit into the sprint, then the development team can achieve it. If the user story is like very big, consider the user story is very big, and the development team cannot deliver it within the sprint. If the sprint is like 2 weeks or so, and the user story which we come up is of very big size, like maybe a 21 story point or so, and the team cannot achieve anything in that sprint, then it will not motivate them. It will because their velocity will be zero for that sprint, right? So that is, well, coming up with a user story, very good user story, and it also has to have the SMART criteria, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time boxed. So time box is very important. Within the sprint, the development team should be able to develop it. So that even like when we say that you have done this user story, when you are this user story has been done, motivates the team. They know that they have done something, so that will motivate the team. So that is where coming up with very good user story with a technical Scrum Master, if the Scrum Master is very technical enough, so he can come up with a very good user stories. So yeah, this is very important for the technical Scrum Master. And like even he can interact with the development team very well. He'll get connected with the development team very well if he's technical enough. If a team member comes up to me and he says like he's waiting for an API, I can go ahead and I can see what team is developing that API, and I can come to him and say like they take so many hours of time to complete it because the last work is pending, the API testing is pending. Like I can relate with him properly because I'm a technical person. I know what task is being carried out, and even if the team is facing any impediments, so I like technical impediments, I mean, so I can go ahead and help them. If I have the skill set, I can obviously help them. And I, as a Scrum Master, have always helped the team when they are lagging behind. When I have a knowledge of API testing, I have a knowledge of performance testing. So these are all the testing where, like, the definition of done says all this testing, non-functional testing, should be done. So when at the end of the sprint, if the team needs my help, obviously I have that knowledge, that the team can take advantage of me. So they can take advantage of my skill set. They can, like, I can also contribute towards the team development team. So that is what, technical Scrum Master can also contribute to the development task. He can also help the product owner in coming up with very good user stories, which very smart and invest user stories. Yes, technical Scrum Master get connected with everyone very easily. Being non-technical Scrum Master is very difficult for him because he'll only understand the product. He'll not understand the implementation part of the product. So that is where it's very difficult for him to even break the user stories into smaller chunks. So even like during the, if the Scrum Master is technical enough, even during the planning meeting, like he can help the team members in giving the better story points to the user stories. So he can also help the team. He can also let the team know what task is being involved. So that is also very important. Like, so for me personally, like, both works, but technical Scrum Master works better because he gets connected with the team and the higher management very easily. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Nicely explained, Jyoti. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Could you also tell us a few matrices which you are using in your project so far?
Yes. Yes, Sunand. Yeah, matrix is something which is not always a good topic for me. I do not like them personally because for me, if you want me to measure the team performance, I always think the sprint goal success is what that's how we can tell the team is doing well. If they have achieved this sprint goal, then they are doing well. Like if the customers are satisfied, so that is what like I can say that team is doing well there. If the customers are satisfied and the sprint goal has been achieved, then we are in the right path. So yes, so these KPIs and all is just to impress the higher management. I'm not really fond of it. Like, burn down chart, burn up chart, velocity. There are a lot of other things like defect density. Yes, there are a lot of other things, like so many matrices which we use. But only thing matters for me is the sprint goal is success or not, whether the team was able to achieve the sprint goal or not. That gives the that shows the team is being is progressing. If the team is able to achieve the sprint goal, then they are doing well. If the customers are happy, then they are doing well, right? Like all the other KPIs are like doesn't really make sense. Like the only thing is like if I'm trusting my team, I know they are performing well. So this burn up, burn down, velocity and all, like, even I'll do it because the higher management, my manager, their manager, the directors, VPs, they are more concerned about these metrics. Like they want something to see the team is performing well. So they want the velocity graph, they want the burn down charts, they want the defect densities, how many defects are being raised every sprint. So they're all concerned about all this. But my main concern is whether the customers are happy, are the team able to achieve the sprint goal. Yes, then the team is doing good. Yes.
Okay. So you don't even consider velocity as a KPI?
Yeah. Velocity, yeah, that's what I told you. Like velocity, burnt down, everything, all the other metrics. I do it just for my managers. I do not consider that as a KPI. Velocity, obviously no, because but yeah, my managers consider that as a KPI, so I give them those inputs, obviously. But for if you ask me why velocity has not been considered as a performance or KPIs, velocity, it differs. Like consider, like team took a user story point, user story with the story point 21. Okay, so for the 2-week sprint, and for those 2 weeks they worked so hard, and the last task, which was the performance testing or the security testing, consider performance testing. Okay, performance testing will take place for one entire day, so that last task was not done, so they are not meeting the definition of done, and they cannot close this story, right? So for the entire sprint, their velocity is 0. Since the sprint event itself is time boxed, so we cannot extend one day. So the review should happen on the same day, right? So the review will happen, and they'll have something to show. But since the definition of done is not been done, so some organization, yeah, they consider half of the user story. Like if it is 21, they consider like we can consider like around 12 or 15 story points are been done, and another like few story points we can just carry it forward, just saying that performance testing is not been done. But that will not happen in all the organization. Like in especially in my organization, they only consider the story being done if all the task is being done. If the story meets the definition of done, then the story is done. Then only the developers will deliver it to product owner.
That should be the criteria. Yes, you are doing the right thing.
Yeah. So when this actually happened, like the velocity for the entire sprint was 0 for the team. See, even though the team worked very well, even though the performance of the team was very good, for only one day of work, this velocity was 0. The performance testing did not happen because they did not. Because why it did not happen is like they had a lot of bugs, P1 and P2 bugs, and they were fixing on that. And the performance testing was the only task which was not done. So the velocity was 0 for the entire sprint, and that doesn't make sense. If we consider velocity as a key performance indicator, no, the velocity was 0, and the performance of the team will be 0, right? So even though they are working hard, it's 0, just because of one single task not being done. So
I'll just pause here for a moment, Jyoti. So there are a lot of things which you have just mentioned in this answer, and you have clubbed a lot of different things into this, So I will not comment on that, but whoever is watching this session, right? My only advice is whatever Jyoti is explaining, right? Go in depth and try to find the reason why she is telling all those things. Do not literally take whatever I will say to you guys, or anyone will say to you guys, right? Do a deep dive into all these aspects, right, before finalizing any of your thoughts. So that's I just want to add over here. Yeah. Before we proceed. Yeah. So there are a lot of things which you have explained, Jyoti. So I just want to, it's kind of disclaimer, whoever is going to watch this session.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is my point of view. Like it's not Absolutely. True that everyone thinks the same way. I mean, for me, I do not consider velocity as a KPI, but for my directors, that is the KPI. I mean, it's totally my point of view. I'm not
correct. Absolutely correct. And whatever I'm asking, guys, these are the questions which are asked in the actual interview. So
yes, and I was open. very transparent to the interviewer also. I told them that I am not
so
ready
don't
to
blame me. Don't blame
Yeah.
me that I'm asking all these stupid questions to Jyoti. So I'm not the culprit over here. Okay, friends. So so pardon me for my language, but then yeah, that's the case. Okay, okay. Let's move on.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Velocity is
So,
something like this. Yeah.
okay.
I personally, my point of view, I do not consider it as a KPI. Yeah.
That's
Because I
perfect.
have an answer for it, because I have a real-time example also for it. So yes.
That's okay. Okay, let's move on.
Sure,
Okay,
yeah.
so because we are working in this kind of environment nowadays, that we have a lot of dependencies on different multiple teams are involved. So if you want to share some of your dependencies and how, as a Scrum Master, you help your team to manage those dependencies, maybe early in the sprint or during the sprint or something like that, Jyoti, if you want to share.
Yeah. Sure, yeah. Like early in the sprint, even before the sprint planning, we have something known as PI planning. So even in the PI planning, we'll come up with a program board. So this program board will briefly tell us what dependency each and every team will have, and to try to resolve the dependency even before the planning meeting, the sprint planning meeting starts. Like if for example, if the feature 1 is being developed by team 1 and team 2 is having dependency on this feature 1, so they are developing feature 2, and to develop the feature 2, they want the feature 1 to be developed, at least the part of the feature 1 to be developed. So that is where we tackle all of this in the planning, in the PI planning meeting, and the feature 1 will be developed even before the feature 2 starts, they start implementing on feature 2. So we have a board for that, and the feature 1 will be developed and released in the version 1, and the feature 2 will be developed and released in the version 2. So that's where we tackle high level in the planning meeting, PI planning meeting, with the program board. And even in between the sprint, we'll have something known as SOS, Scrum of Scrums. So that is where that meeting is very important to tackle the dependencies and to come up with an answer for those dependencies. If any team is having dependency on our team, so that is where we'll try to resolve it as soon as possible. These dependencies are also known as impediments, because those are all blockage, right? The dependencies. If the team cannot proceed, then obviously these dependencies will become impediments. So yeah, that's where we will have to work together to resolve these dependencies. Even in Scrum of Scrum, this will be tackled, even in the Jira or in the Azure DevOps, like whatever the tool the team is using, we'll come up with the impediment or dependency board. So where we entire the team, all the different teams can see what is going on with other team, and if we have any dependency on other team, we'll go ahead and we'll log the dependency there, and we'll also make sure they are working on the dependency, and even the time is being mentioned in the dependencies, in the board. So when they can release those, when they can resolve those dependencies, when they can work on that, when our team can go ahead and take those APIs or whatever it is, dependencies, so that is where we do it all before the planning meeting and in between the planning meeting in the SOS. No, we will not just wait for SOS, Scrum of Scrum. As I told you, we'll have a dashboard for the dependencies to track the dependencies and impediments. So yeah, all this is been done being very transparent is also very important to track the dependencies. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Thanks, Jyoti, for that. Okay. So this next question is more towards conflict management. So let's assume that one of your team member comes to you, and then he or she is going to tell you that other developer is not helping him or her for various reasons, or he's not able to cope up with the pace of work. So he or she is waiting for some input from this particular team member, but then he or she is not able to provide for various reasons. Maybe he don't understand the domain fully, or maybe he's not technical sound enough. There might be a number of reasons, and due to that, there is a lot of conflicts happening. This guy is telling that requirement is not shared by him or her on time. So some sort of conflict is happening, right, Jyoti? So what are you going to do in that kind of situations where such kind of incidents happen in front of you?
Yes, yeah. Since we all are working remotely now, these conflicts are very common. Because we don't get to see each other's face. Communicating with other person is it's little difficult, because he may not be available during the same working hours, or there are various reasons. So I, as a Scrum Master, if there are any conflicts between the two team members, I'll make sure I make peace between them. They become friends through me, maybe. So if person A is having more experience than person B, and person A is not helping person B, I make sure they are working on the same task for at least 1 or 2 sprints. They communicate very well. So that is what I do, because making them understand the Scrum values is very important. One of the Scrum values is respecting towards each other. So the respect is what makes the things easier. When we are able to communicate with the other person, it's easy to make them understand what we want. So that is very important. So getting to know the team is very important, not just for the Scrum Master, for the entire team. The entire team should know what the other person is doing within the team, so that they can collaborate. That's what the collaboration is very important. Communication is very important. Having that friendliness is very important. All the team members should be a good communicator, listener, and they should have that helping thing. This Scrum itself is not a single person thing. He's not doing it for only himself. Everyone are working towards the product vision, so that everyone should make it clear. We have the same goal, we have a same destination to reach. So when we have a same destination to reach, it's always easier to travel in a single vehicle, right? So yes, the same mindset, having the friendly nature is very important as well. When we are having the same product vision, everyone should work towards that. And when everyone is working towards that, there is no individuality. We is always we, right? So if there are any conflicts, I'll try to make peace with them. I'll try to have one-on-one with each person. I'll try to make sure he'll have at the end of the meeting, I'll try to make sure that his perspective changes towards the other person. So yeah, making peace is very important. Coming together to work for a single product vision is very important. Yeah. Sunanda, I'm not able to hear your voice. I think you are on mute.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah. Thanks, Jyoti, for that. Okay. So the next question is more on a risk management side. So there might be a number of risks which you as a Scrum Master can foresee, or your team can see. So how you guys managing or tracking different risk in your project?
Yeah, risk can come in any way. Risk is something which we cannot plan ahead. So risk, you can consider the conflict as well as a risk. If the two members have a conflict, that is also a risk, right? So there are a lot of risk, bugs are risk. If there are any major bugs, then that is a risk too. So there is a lot of risk. So resolving the risk is very important, and owning the risk and accepting the risk and mitigating the risk is very important. So Rome, yeah, risk, resolve, own, accept, and mitigate is very important. So even the risk, to for the technical risk, in the sense like for if we have any bugs, P1, P2 bugs, we'll try to resolve it within the sprint, and we'll plan the capacity based on that. We'll have some buffer so that we can handle those P1, P2 bugs. So even the definition of done, what it says is like the major bugs, like P1 critical bugs, P1, P2 bugs are being handled within the sprint. So that is what the definition of done says. So like we'll have some buffer to handle this risk, and also we'll have a defect like a bug triage meetings every week. So we'll prioritize the bug. We'll try to resolve, own, accept, and mitigate. That is what the agenda of that meeting is, bug triage meetings. And the behavior, there's a lot of risk, like the behavior risk, the conflicts, the impediments, the dependencies, all of these are risk, right? So yeah, the planning, the risk which is known risk can be planned ahead. We'll have little buffer for that, but there are a lot of unknown risk, like behavior risk and all, like is always unknown. Like that's where like the collaboration is very important among the team members. So yeah, risk is like, which is not known always. Yep.
Okay. You just mentioned about P1, P2s and all those
Right.
production issues, right? So what if, let's say, in between the sprint, let's say some P1 issue will came, right? So how, as a team, you're going to manage these kind of unexpected issues?
Yeah. The P1 bugs are something which we cannot demo the product, like what we have implemented, we cannot demo it because it is a major bug, critical bug. Sometimes even this P1 bug will be like very critical. So like we cannot demo it at all. We cannot demo the product at all. We cannot demo the increment at all. So that is where like P1 bugs are very important. So as I told you, in the capacity planning, I always try to keep some buffer for this P1 and P2 bugs. And whenever these P1 bugs arises, we'll try to have a quick meeting, like with the product owner and the development team. I try to have a quick meeting, like maybe for 15 minutes or so. And I'll see who can fix it, like who can own it. That is what we do. Who can own it and when they can fix it. So that like managing the time within the sprint is also very important when there are P1 bugs. So owning, like I as a Scrum Master make sure like someone owns it and someone start fixing it. So yeah, quick meeting whenever the production bugs comes, that for 15 minutes, and assigning the bug to a development team and start working immediately on that. And when can we like expect to like fix the bug? That is also what we do in the quick 15 minutes of planning meeting. So these P1 bugs are something we cannot live with, so they have to be fixed as soon as possible. So that is what we'll have a quick 15 minutes of planning, and we'll figure out how we can resolve it.
Okay, I think, Jyoti, we are done with today's session. We have covered all the questions which are there in your past experience. So I hope this session will definitely going to help a lot of people. And the way you have explained is really good. So yeah, Jyoti, with this note, I think we can close this session.
Okay, all right, Sunand. Yeah, it was nice having this discussion.
Okay, thanks, Jyoti. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Sunand.
Yeah.